You, Jen.
Go get on a break some domo.
Hi, babe. Good to see you too. I'm doing fine, by the way, and thanks for asking.
What is he doing here?
Mimi nimechoka na hizo drama zake.
Mr. Kaa hapa nione mwanamke mwingine akikuja kutake over boma ya mama yangu.
Ama.
Well, I just feel like blows will start flying before the end of this day.
Alex, hey.
Mark! There'll be no fighting here today. How about we make sure that Alex and Trish end up together?
So that you can be back with Pete?
Yeah, and you and Jen.
So that you swindle people of their hard-earned money and property, yeah?
I was conned.
Stop with the nonsense, Alex!
Good afternoon and welcome to our lunchtime bulletin. My name is Jackie Wimbiru and our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odinga. Well, we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up this afternoon as we shall be taking a look at news-making headlines across the country and across borders. Well, remember to interact with us on our social media handles at KBC Channel 1. Now, to kick us off, as the world marked Valentine's Day on Wednesday, it was not all fun for a section of Kenyan women as they mourned recent killings of girls in the country. In a protest, they christened a Dark Valentine. They called on the government to fulfill the demands they made in a petition on how to tame femicide. One of the demands in the petition submitted to Parliament was the establishment of sexual and gender-based violence centers across the country to serve as homes for the victims of gender-based violence.
On a traditional day marked to celebrate love, women activists instead held a vigil to remember the victims of femicide by lighting candles, holding red roses and chanting the names of those killed. At least 16 women have been killed since the beginning of 2024.
People with disabilities are most vulnerable because they face the double challenge as the other people who have no disabilities, and most of the times their cases are not reported and their issues are not being considered in the media.
Government yetu imetulia sana, government ambayo sisi wenyewe wanawake tunajua kwamba inafaa kutuprotect na kwamba sisi tuko na right ya kuishi.
The rising wave of gender-based violence prompted formation of the End Femicide Kenya movement, which consists of over 1,000 organizations and individuals nationally to demand swift and effective action from the Kenyan government.
We're not only trying to make awareness on this issue, but we're also trying to put the steps legally to see how we can be able to have this thing come out strongly to the public, to be condemned publicly, and not only to be condemned, but to also be taken up in account of law, that this thing is actually a crisis for the country.
And unfortunately, it's a narrative that is being driven in the community. When something is not categorically condemned, it is quietly enabled. So we're finding that for many years we've struggled with cases of femicide and they're rising.
The vigils coincide with the opening of Parliament this week, where the movement organizers pushed for their petition to be debated.
What happened to our security forces? Yes, I know people will start saying the women, but honestly, this is love. Nobody is pushing the other. Why would you do that? So for me, Mr. Speaker, the most worrying thing is that we must go back to the judiciary and request the judiciary, Mr. Speaker, that if we have a case of someone who has raped, someone who has murdered, honestly, you don't need to give a bail to this person.
Citizens have questioned Parliament and asked, Where have you been? But I want to state that the law is very clear. The law is very clear. Nobody is above the law, especially when it comes to matters of killings. And so I narrow it to the security forces. Security forces who seem not to have handled these issues fairly.
They, however, called for civic education on gender-based violence and rapid response by the police and judiciary in such cases.
To ensure a world where everyone can live without fear regardless of gender, activists now say addressing femicide requires cultural, education and legislation change. Reporting for KBC Channel 1, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
And now on education matters, there is need for establishment of more special schools for children with developmental disabilities. Caroline Kisuge, the founder of Jonathan Ray of Hope, an non-governmental organization, said if such public schools are set up in each county, then more children with special needs will be catered for and give them the help they require. Speaking during Valentine's Day celebration in Rongo, Migori County, Kisuge urged parents of children with developmental disabilities not to despair and ensure the children get education.
We are requesting that if it is being built, it should cater for all those needs of those who cannot do academic, because those who can do academic can do inclusive in other schools. But these children cannot do academic. That is why we are requesting for a special school for them to enable them get the skills that they require so that they become independent and we eradicate the begging nation of persons with disability.
In other news, Kenyans who are yet to collect their identification cards have been urged to do so at their respective constituencies to avoid inconveniences. Government spokesperson Dr. Isaac Maura says a total of 684,000 identification cards are pending collection, whereas 600,000 citizens submitted applications for new IDs. He made the remarks in Nairobi during his weekly press briefing.
Identity cards by eligible youth, which has been caused by a court order suspending the production of the third generation identity cards. An appeal has been made on the case. As we speak, 600,000 applicants for the cards are pending at the civil registration offices countrywide, even as another 684,000 IDs lie uncollected by the applicants across the country. So 600,000 new applicants, another 684,000 not yet collected. So you can see there is a balancing out, and please, people should collect this. As government spokesman, I affirm that once the appeal is granted, the government will embark on massive production of the vital identification documents with the aim of declaring the backlog within the shortest time possible. The government appeals to those yet to collect their documents to do so in order to avoid inconveniences in the official issuance of this very important document. And also, I think to clarify that this is a problem that government is not happy about, because like those students who are supposed to get help loans and they have not yet gotten their IDs, then it becomes a difficult issue. It is interfering with a lot of public service delivery efforts, and so therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we really would want this matter to be fully resolved, as quickly as possible. And these are some of the things that we are talking about in terms of the courts not being able to work out their things in good time. Now, there's an issue of livestock and pastoralists, very important, because there have been concerns from the ground about what is it, and we've gotten these concerns from places like Kajiado. What is the program actually to buy?
This year's Valentine's Day celebration in the country went beyond the traditional acts of intimacy with several displays of brotherly love. While a 70-year-old man rekindled his love with his 60-year-old bride as they exchanged vows in Kiambu, university students in Kakamega celebrated the day with donating shoes to needy students, but the festivities were, however, dampened by the recent cases of femicide. Frederick Parsai sampled how Kenyans celebrated Valentine's.
If you think you are too old to tie the knot, Edward Muyori Karome will prove you wrong. The 70-year-old retired civil servant exchanged wedding vows with the 60-year-old bride, Lois Mbitiro, before his congregation at African Inland Church, Kiambu, on Valentine's Day.
We wanted to make it look unique, away from the ordinary or traditional way of running weddings on Saturdays.
What plan for it is to be on a Valentine's Day. It was a coincidence.
In Kisumu, the county's First Lady, Dorothy Nyong'o, called for enhanced security to curb murders.
We want to call upon the authorities to take charge.
It was a similar treat in Nakuru County, with the less fortunate receiving a treat from a community-based organization dubbed Street Children Assistance Network.
They've also decided to give every beneficiary of this project a food hamper.
In Nairobi's city center, the usual red was plenty in clothes and streets with lovebirds marking the day in style.
Let's nimeona my love of my life, Maua, and at least to appreciate.
You don't have to expect flowers from men or expect anything from men. You can do it yourself, you can treat yourself, you can take yourself out for a date.
And journalists in Nairobi were this time the beneficiaries of Cafe Deli's Hotels Valentine's gift that is now in its 5th year.
The media has made sure that we are aware of what's happening around us. So it helps, the data they give us helps us make decisions for now and the future. And we appreciate the fact that they are the reason we are still probably in business today.
The government is set to increase the number of regional blood testing centers from 6 to 10, aimed at boosting capacity and improving turnaround time for blood testing processes. Medical Services Principal Secretary Harry Kimtai said the initiative will ensure the timely provision of safe and quality blood to those in need.
At the Valentine's Day blood donation and sensitization launch at Mount Kenya University, the Health Ministry, while calling upon Kenyans to embrace blood donation, highlighted the significance of establishing new blood testing centers in meeting the growing demand for transfusion across the country.
The proposed regional centers are Bungoma, Kisii, Meru, and Nairobi. This expansion will not only increase our capacity but also enhance the turnaround time for testing blood, thereby ensuring the timely provision of safe and quality blood to those in need.
The expansion initiative will involve equipping and setting up collection points, as well as training personnel to operate the centers effectively within the 43 county satellites. 6 of the centers will feature reference laboratories to uphold the highest standards of quality and blood safety.
The 6 regional blood transfusion centers, RBTC, have reference laboratories. These state-of-the-art facilities are responsible for conducting all necessary testing and screening procedures on collecting blood. By standardizing this critical aspect of the process, we can guarantee the safety of the blood supply.
Acting Kenya National Blood and Transfusion Services Chief Executive Officer Maurice Wakwabubi further noted that they target to get over 500,000 units of blood during the blood donation exercise, which commenced on 14th February across the country, calling on Kenyans to donate blood.
We are on course actually. We are now past 50%, and this month of Valentine, we are targeting to raise 40,000 units of blood. And that will go a long way to make sure that we reach our target of 500,000 units of blood.
Tunaomba tu vijana wote pali popote umeona tent ya the Kenya Blood Transport and Transplant Services, uende kwa hiyo tent utoe damu, kwa sababu sisi kama vijana tuko na hiyo nguvu na tuko na hiyo nia ya kutoa damu.
Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
President William Ruto has asked Kenyans to embrace local food production, saying it is key to achieving economic stability. The president, who spoke in Murang'a County, Gitanga constituency, while launching Ithanga water supply project, also said the government has found investors to build a pharmaceutical industry on land provided by Murang'a County at Del Monte. President Ruto also launched an affordable housing project in Kandara constituency.
Mimi nataka niwaambie ndugu zangu ya kwamba sasa Kenya tunatumia karibu bilioni 500 kila mwaka kuagiza chakula kutoka nchi zingine. Mnataka tuendelee kuagiza chakula kutoka nchi zingine? Si tuzalishe chakula hapa Kenya? Ndio nimesema badala ya sisi kutumia pesa yetu kununua mahindi, kununua ngano, kununua mchele, kununua sijui nini kutoka nchi zingine, hiyo pesa tuweke katika kuzalisha kilimo Kenya. Tuwasaidie wakulima wetu, tuwapatie maji ya irrigation vile tunafanya hapa, tuwapatie mambo ya mbolea na mbegu, na tuhakikisha kwamba mko na pesa ya kuendesha kilimo, ndio tuondoe njaa katika taifa letu la Kenya. Hiyo bilioni 500 badala ya kulipa wakulima wa sehemu zingine, tulipe wakulima wa Kenya watuzalishie chakula, tuondoe njaa na Kenya isonge mbele. Na huyu governor walikuja na MCAs, nikakubaliana na wao watupatie ardhi hapa Thika, hapa Del Monte. Na sasa hiyo ardhi tumeweka milioni 500 ya kwanza kujenga ile special economic zone. Hiyo special economic zone ya Thika tumesema ndio tutaweka program ya mambo ya medical na pharmaceutical industry ambayo itatusaidia kuweka viwanda ya kutengeneza madawa. Ile madawa ambayo itatusaidia Kenya. Bado saa hizi tunaagiza madawa ya karibu bilioni 110 kutoka nchi zingine. Sasa tunataka kutengeneza hapa Kenya.
Expectant mothers from Kajiado North Sub-County are set to benefit from improved maternal health after the county government of Kajiado put up a raft of measures to make motherhood safer. The county devolved unit has set up modern theatre, X-ray and ultrasound units among other critical health services in both Ongatarungai and Ngong Town sub-county hospitals. According to Ongatarungai hospital records, an average of 144 surgeries are conducted monthly. The facility is also designed to cater to people with disability and has been fitted with state-of-the-art equipment, including 2 modern theatres.
We used to refer patients to Kenyatta, Bagathi or Kajiado. Kajiado, first of all, is a bit far from where we are located. It would take like roughly 2 hours for the patient to reach. So
vya watoto wale wanasaliwa zimefungua na ni kwa sababu ya kuwa na theater yenye iliwezwa kufunguliwa katika hospitali hii. Hii ilipungua kwa sababu ya muda wa mama wa kujifungua ule anahitaji upasuaji kupungua kwa sababu ya kuwa na theater. Anapata hiyo service immediately.
Upande wa theater sisi kama wamama hatuna shida kwa sababu tulikuwa tunatumwa hadi Kenyatta, lakini tumeletewa theater hapa karibu. Mtu yeyote kama akona shida upande wa kujifungua mtoto anapelekwa hapo karibu, anafanyiwa theater. Na in case of anything that mtu ameweza kukufa ama ameweza kufariki dunia, tuna mochari pia hapo karibu.
And away from health matters, various youth across 10 counties have received training on smart advocacy approaches and county processes to assist them in pushing for youth agendas in the county governments. The program, known as Jasiri Youth Champions, recently trained its 5th cohort. The 3-day training took place in Nanyuki and attracted youth from Nyeri, Narok, Isiolo, Marsabit, Samburu, Nakuru, Nyandarua, Kirinyaga and Kajiado counties, who were taken through processes of government public participation forums and writing and submitting of memoranda. The forum also touched on meaningful engaging youth on population, health, environment and climate justice issues.
Ukiangalia percentage ya wale youth ambao tuko nao nchi mzima, they must be part and parcel maneno ya decision making. Tukisema maneno ya decision making, kila kitu inaenda kwa budget. Budget wakati nafanya formulation, kuna pale lazima tuweke budget ya youth. Kama Laikipia account tumeweka kitita mzuri maneno ya youth, na tutaendelea kuongeza ndio waweze kuweza kujumuika kwa society, kuweza kufanya program zao.
Tumewafunza understand county budget vile ambavyo vinatengenezwa na pia identify opportunities ambazo ziko kwetu sisi kama vijana tuweze kujijumulisha na leaders wetu.
And now we cross over to the Masai Mara, where Cabinet Secretary for Tourism Alfred Mutua is currently speaking. Let's listen in.
Jordan, but it has not happened yet. It's just been talk, and we agreed to accelerate it through our ministers of agriculture, because we can get some of our sheep, some of our goats to be taken to be quarantined in Jordan, and then Jordan can be a hub to market those products across the Middle East. And we also talked about how we can get leather to the country of Jordan in the Middle East. And our agricultural produce, we have the best tea in the world. We also talked about getting our fruits and vegetables and a lot of things to that country in terms of agriculture. We also talked about foreign direct investment and how we can get, we are very interested in getting investors in tourism and others to come to both of our countries. We discussed hotel management. We have Utalii College. They have their very good hospitality hotels, and having a sistership in that area and also in areas of education beyond just tourism, in just hospitality, but also in medical fields and other fields that we can be able to collaborate and work together. We also discussed our relationship that has gone on for quite some time on security and defense. We can't have tourism growth unless there's security. And we discussed how Jordan can work together with us in the ministry, with Kenya Wildlife Service and others, in terms of security and defense in promotion of our tourism and promotion also of fighting terrorism. Jordan has been in the forefront in fighting terrorism. We also have, so we share this and we can work together and continue, because when we are able to remove terrorism and have peace and security, our tourism will grow. It has become very clear in our discussion that really we have not paid attention to Jordan as we should. This is because Jordan has very many antiquity and tourism sites. For example, the River Jordan. It's the wind. Yeah, it's okay.
Well, that is Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua, who is accompanied by Tourism Minister of Jordan, where they are expected to sign an MOU. We shall be keeping you updated. For now, we move on. Civil Society Organizations Network is urging the Kakamega County Government to increase its revenue collection from 2 billion shillings to 5 billion shillings to complete projects that have been initiated. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of a public participation on fiscal strategy paper, the Secretary General of the network, Nicholas Nyangu, asked the county government to also seal all loopholes that can lead to revenue losses.
Development kwa miradi ambayo itakuja kusukuma gurudumu la mwananchi ambayo yuko pale chini. Katika makadirio ya mwaka huu tunaona kaunti iko na ule mpango wa kuongeza ushuru wake, pato la ushuru wake kutoka shilingi bilioni 2 ambalo kila wakati imekuwa kizingatia hadi bilioni 3.
Kakamega County is an agricultural based economy, lakini mgao ambao unaenda kwa agriculture ni kidogo sana. Kulingana na statistics za Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, umaskini wa Kakamega uko juu. 2013 tulianza na umaskini wa 43%. 2018 ilikuwa imefika 48%. Saa hizi ni 49%. Yaani tunasema ya kwamba kama uko kwa bus ama uko kwa soko ama uko kwa shule, watu 10, 5 ni watu maskini.
These are some of the sectors that we wish to highlight. Education sector. We appreciate the fact that early childhood education and vocation training centers, county polytechnics, is a devolved function, and that early learning for children below 6 years is a fundamental to child cognitive and psychological growth and development. 12 years since devolution, we still have centers which have not been upgraded to modern classrooms, while others lack adequate learning and teaching facilities and materials. It's also evident that despite the county budget document for successive 12 years talking about ECD feeding program, the county has never implemented the program.
Kenya Airways is set to reintroduce weekly flights to Mogadishu. Now, currently is the Transport Cabinet Secretary, Murkomen, currently speaking. Let's listen in.
11.147 million in 2023. The government is therefore delighted at the commitment of our national carrier to align itself with and support the priorities of the government to promote connectivity, regional integration, and trade, among other goals. I am grateful to the government of Somalia through the Somalia Civil Aviation Authority for expediting the foreign operator certificate and approval of the winter schedule for passenger and cargo operations. The resumption of KQ flights to Mogadishu underscores Kenya's steadfast commitment to bolstering regional connectivity and boosting economic prosperity across our shared borders. With the recent admission of Somalia to East Africa community, I applaud Kenya Airways for taking this stride that will contribute in a big way to deepening the integration of our community. This move is also an important step in our journey towards the full implementation of single African air trade market as envisaged by the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. By reinstating direct air links between Nairobi and Mogadishu, we are laying the foundation for enhancing trade, expanding investment horizons, and enriching cultural exchanges. Such initiatives ignite economic activity and nurture collaboration between our two nations. The role of air transport in promoting people-to-people connection and driving peaceful coexistence and common prosperity cannot be stressed enough. Ladies and gentlemen, looking into the future, we need to take advantage of KQ's resume to fly to deepen sustainable development and inclusive growth. Our respective ministries and other stakeholders need to work together to address the infrastructure gaps, streamline regulatory framework, and cultivate an enabling environment for long-term prosperity. On the infrastructure side, as has been alluded by my colleague, Honorable Aden Duale, we are, as a government, in the final stages of advertising for a PPP arrangement to build a new terminal. Where we stand here, this tent is a monument of shame, because as a country, a friend of mine told me, your country is big, but the airport is small. And that when someone lands here, they don't feel like really what they see represents what Kenya is. And they are right. And we, as I've said, we accept constructive criticism. And therefore, from this Friday, and I want to thank the Kenya Airports Authority, led by the chair who is here, for working very hard in the plans that we had. We are receiving our final report from our transaction advisor this Friday. And in another 1 week, you will see in your newspapers an advertisement for construction of a new terminal, hopefully through PPP, and we should complete the process in less than 6 months and come back, have a contractor, hopefully, before the end of this year, commence the works. Our plan is to ensure that Jomo Kenyatta International Airport will have a brand new terminal, and the PPP arrangement will ensure that this old terminal next will have a link to the new terminal, which will be actually sitting around this area, and based on the designs that I have seen. And therefore, the government of President William Ruto is very committed to delivering transformative aviation sector in the country.
Well, that is Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen announcing the reintroduction of weekly flights to Mogadishu. The resumption follows this temporary suspension on August 2020 to mitigate the spread of coronavirus. Now, on that note, we shall be taking a short break right here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
Sugar, gas, and the crime rate is high. Hii ndio mushenea daily in the bustling hood of Omokavile. Although wengine wakiwa na superheroes, sisi tuko na super hustlers.
I hope sugar daddy wako anapenda mapengo.
Cut to the chase.
For business to thrive, crime cannot survive.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out. Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
高教授，看明白我的魔术了吗？
我认为这就是一个装置。
哦，那你说说看。
饭的吃啊，是痴心妄想的痴。我懂。你懂什么啊？
愿佛祖保佑我者脱离苦海。
汪淼重启了纳米实验，你失败了。
时间的尽头。
Welcome back. This is Lunchtime News. Now let's talk business. United Kingdom Ambassador to Kenya Neil Wigan says his government is working closely with Kenyan authorities to fast-track implementation of a 31 billion shilling farming project targeting rural areas. The project is expected to realize agri-fintech services for rural communities, high productivity climate-smart farming and agro-industrial facilities over the next 5 years. Wigan made the remarks during a courtesy call on Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o.
On the cost of living, this is a problem. This is a global problem in the UK as well. We've had very high inflation, and there are some factors which are beyond Kenya's control. And so the government, I know, is in a difficult position. Of course, it's important that it fills its responsibility to the citizens and it does whatever it can to help. But we do understand that there are global pressures which we're all facing together. So I can say that last year in December, I went to the signing of a memorandum of understanding between United Green and the Kenya Development Corporation, and the CS for Trade and Investment industry was there as well. So that shows that we're trying to move this program forward because we see huge potential benefits to farmers in Kisumu and the other counties. This could create a lot of opportunity and a lot of value.
The national government regulations and procedures take long, and they are still doing that. I'm in discussion with the national government. We in Kisumu are ready. Once that problem is solved, we're already ready to receive them.
Diaspora remittances are likely to increase from the 663 billion shillings being realized to at least 1 trillion shillings annually as more youth acquire skills to secure jobs abroad. Labour and Skills Development Principal Secretary Shadrach Madime says training opportunities are being expanded to skill more Kenyans for jobs on offer globally. Here's our reporter Ann Burrow with the details.
Kenyans who used to access employment opportunities abroad were those of unskilled labor, but we are changing that as it is currently, because the opportunities that are available in the Western European countries are those in industries, are those on sectors like IT, that require people who are highly skilled in their areas of specialization.
This is happening in all the African countries where we have migrant workers who go out, and normally we say, we have lost so many people, we have gone to work in other countries, but they contribute to the growth of our economy, and as a percentage of what their contributions in GDP, in most countries they have now become number 1 or number 2. In terms of contributions.
And what we are earning as foreign exchange, as it is from Kenyans abroad, has already surpassed the traditional cash crop. Foreign exchange earners like the cash crops that we have, coffee, tea, even tourism. We should also now take advantage of the fact that the population in the Western European countries is aging. The average age is 45 years. The average age in Kenya is about 18, 19 years. So why not capitalize on the opportunities that are opening there for the good of our young people?
The Danish government is investing 15 billion shillings in a water infrastructure project that will serve 240,000 Kenyans, increase the lifespan of water networks from an average of 8 to 12 years, and half the downtime in water supply. Here is Felix Kio with the details.
Thika Water and Sewage Company is in the process of constructing projects worth 15 billion shillings aimed at generating 36,000 cubic meters of water daily to end water shortages in the area. This is after the Danish government announced an investment of $100 million for the projects. Speaking during a tour of Thika Water and Sewage Company, the investment will focus on apprenticeship programs, job creation and green tech transfer from Denmark.
There is a big task of improving the water infrastructure, and Danish companies can in this regard really help with your local authorities, your water authorities and your government in improving, for instance, as an example, the entire water infrastructure in Kenya, which is so important for us as individuals, but also for industry and for agriculture.
The project will also focus on developing a plastics packaging recycling strategy for Kenya under the National Solid Waste Management Strategy.
Organizations that work to improve the competitiveness of the private sector in Kenya. Those are the ones we train, partner with, we help them financially, we help them do advocacy towards the government, we train their members in becoming more sustainable so they can increase also their exports to the EAC market but also to Europe.
As we move into the second phase, we have signed a strategic partnership agreement with Danish industry for the next 2 years. And this started in January this year up to December next year.
And now we cross over where we shall be taking a look at the assessment on the level of stock of food and non-food item donations from Egypt, where the Cabinet Secretary for EAC, Penina Malonza, is currently speaking. Let's listen in.
Followed by still peace that are in area. I know of one that we are sending food this weekend. So they are distributed in northeastern also of the country. Very few in western.
Well, we do apologize for that technical hitch. We shall be keeping you updated in our subsequent bulletins. For now, we cross over. We have an interview segment where we shall be discussing financial inclusion. And this afternoon, we're joined by Fiona Omolisa, who is the director, the East Africa Regional Director at Grey Inc. And welcome to KBC.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, then now to kick us off, perhaps, how can technology be effectively leveraged to enhance financial inclusion, particularly in reaching undeserved populations?
Yeah, thank you. I think technology can and has already been leveraged to drive financial inclusion. And speaking of, for example, mobile technology, specifically it has been very instrumental. So, for example, 2011, the financial inclusion was just above 23% across sub-Saharan Africa, and now it's at 2017 it was 43%. So, and the main reason is because of how easy it can reach the last mile users. So its accessibility, it being affordable, and the transparency that it brings to the users who are using it. So I think it's a very exciting space to watch as it grows, and yeah, definitely technology is here to push and to drive financial inclusion.
Well, there you have it. It's here to stay, but however, it comes with challenges. So let's take a look at cybersecurity, which is a significant concern for financial service providers. How can they secure their systems and protect their customers' funds from cyber threats?
Yeah, financial service providers are a prime target for cyber criminals. I think according to the Trend Micro, there were about 700 million threats recorded during 2021 year. And I would say that's why innovators like ourselves and fintech companies have to be vigilant in implementing and updating cybersecurity measures. For example, at Grey, where I work, we have a very robust team that is dedicated to make sure that we have updated measures in place. And also I think education is a very big part of the solution, where both the employees and the users should be educated about how to go about it. So I think we don't have any other choice rather than having the measures in place, making sure that we don't only respond, but we are ready to protect against these threats.
Very well. Now, mobile money plays a very crucial role in financial inclusion in Kenya. Perhaps, why do you think the reliance of mobile money is so high, and what are the implications for broader financial inclusion efforts?
Yeah, you're right. So mobile money has been very instrumental in pushing financial inclusion, and I think removing my mobile money from the picture, the financial inclusion in Kenya will just drop to about 20 or 30%. So, and the main reason why the mobile money has been a big player in the ecosystem is because, as I just said, it's accessibility. So, for example, a user, let's say a farmer somewhere, a trader, the last thing they want to think of is how will I access my finances, right? So at the end of the day, they want to make sure that they have access to their finances. So with the mobile money, you can easily sit, relax, knowing that anytime you can have access to your financial transactions. And also it comes with affordability. So when we are building innovations, mobile money, mobile banking systems in place, we are thinking of who will use this product, right? Will they be able to afford it? And that allows everyone to be part the space, to be part of this financial inclusion movement. And lastly, I would say it's about transparency, right? So with transparency, I mean users, they want to be to have the freedom over their financial transactions. So with mobile money and mobile banking and all these digital platforms, the user or the customer is aware of how much will I be charged. For example, if I'm an exporter of coffee, let's say to China, I want to be aware of how much will I receive at the end of the day. And you can change from a financial service provider to another depending on the fees they're charging. So I would say, in a nutshell, mobile money is pushing financial inclusion because it allows the users to have freedom over their financial lifestyle.
Well, thank you for that point. Now, with the fluctuation of currencies, rather, is a global bank account the way to go now?
I'll say it's an additional to what we already have, right? So with global accounts, what it provides, it allows you to have the flexibility to manage different currencies across the board, right? So as I just said, let's say you're an importer or exporter, or you're a startup trying to raise funds, or you're trying to expand to multiple countries. How will you manage different currencies across the globe? So with the global accounts is to make sure that the businesses, the individuals, the freelancers who are trying to monetize their skills globally can easily manage and track these finances. And that's what I would say we are doing, is making sure that individuals and businesses can easily get connected to the global economy, digital economy, without hindrance of financial requirements in place.
Well, you say it's an additional.
Yeah.
But with multinational service providers such as Visa and MasterCard being in place, providing border transactions, perhaps how should one opt for a global account?
I think it's not one or the other, right? It takes a village to build innovations. It takes a whole ecosystem to build innovations. So, for example, at Grow, we provide cards, virtual cards, MasterCard cards. And what I would say is all these players, as you just mentioned, Visa, MasterCard, and the likes of others, or the likes of fintech, like ourselves, Grey, we are here to partner, to making sure that everyone is committed to deliver the best services to their users, and everyone is committed to focus on their business model while outsourcing partnerships, making sure that we deliver these products. So where possible, we partner with all these players in space. You cannot do it alone. So I don't think MasterCard or Visa would do the holistic or the whole ecosystem solution. So we are here to partner with them, making sure that at the end of the day, it's about a customer, it's about a user. What do we need to offer them, and how best can we do it as an ecosystem to offer these services?
Well, very well. Now, as we wind up, and also as you give your closing remarks, have you had any cyber threats?
Not yet, and I would say we are aware of these threats. So that's why at Grey, and I believe other innovators in space, we are already talking about this, because it's something that we need to come to solve together, both internalized companies as fintechs and organizations, but also at a very macro level, right? So governments are launching their cybersecurity strategies across the board. So I would say we haven't faced any, and I'm not excited to see any, but what I would say is we are really vigilant. We are very aware of these threats, and we are coming up with different measurements in place, make sure that doesn't happen at all.
Well, there you have it. That is Fiona Omulisa, who is the East Africa Regional Director at Grey Inc. We have been discussing financial inclusion. Well, thank you so much, Fiona, for gracing us with your presence. Well, for now,
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, and now we move on to another story where there is need for harmonization of policies and procedures about cargo movement in Africa to enhance efficiency. Shipping and Maritime Affairs Principal Secretary Geoffrey Kaituko is calling for enhanced collaborations among African countries in areas such as shipbuilding and repairs, ship financing and insurance, as well as human capacity development.
Please let us focus on developing a policy that will help to guide in the harmonization of the national maritime transport policies and legislation across the region, which will ensure development of a sustainable African maritime industry and foster close collaboration among the regions, and create synergies that will give us a bigger say and capacities in handling of our cargo and the general shipping and maritime affairs of the region.
In the sports arena, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba says the government is undertaking concerted efforts to build a sustainable environment around the WRC Safari Rally. Namwamba said the move, in collaboration with the WRC Safari Rally team, will ensure the longevity and impact of the rally in the coming years. The CS singled out the need of infusing the rally with the Kenyan spirit reminiscent of its golden years. He said there is need to transition from the current scenario where foreign drivers briefly graze a Kenyan soil to an era where Kenyan drivers participate and compete at the highest level like in the old days. The WRC Safari Rally will rev off on March 28th to 31st in Nairobi and Naivasha.
We certainly want to get back to those days when you had Kenyan drivers not only participating but actually competing, and competing really, really well. That's why we're talking about a stronger KNRC as a feeder pipeline. We are talking about a rallying school to develop rallying talents from the earliest age possible, from cutting to bagging and all across that whole ecosystem.
Kylian Mbappe marked his return from injury with a goal as Saint Paris Saint-Germain took control of the Champions League last 16 tie against Real Sociedad with a 2-0 win at home. Now, in another last 16 tie, Ciro Immobile's penalty gave Lazio a shock 1-0 win over Bayern Munich.
In by Dembele, met by Marquinhos. Mbappe pounces.